Please listen carefully.
Hello, I am the Ronin Born.
And I am HOC Gaming, currently known, and shall continue to be known as Harvey. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Harv. I'm Ronin Born.
Hi.
Nice to meet you there.
Hi, Ronin Born. Nice to. Can we do a little bit of a? Is that working?
No, it's definitely not.
I swear, at the start of this show, I had a wider green screen, and we were able.
Today.
We were able to touch previously, weren't we?
Yeah, every week I gotta change the green screen a little bit to just accommodate things. Hello, Mosaic Task Force Prosecutor Walton. HOC Gaming, you're in chat? Halagrad1, why are there no names? I don't even know why there are no names. How's everybody doing today? Welcome to the next in the installments of the Harv and Pawn Show.
Yes. A very cheery show today. We have a wonderfully uplifting and just kind of feel-good stories.
What have you got in the cup, by the way, there, Harv? Is it tea? Is it coffee? Is it whiskey? What do you got?
It is ginger and lemon tea mixed with honey and a little dash of ginger wine.
Oh,
just
you are.
It's all for the kind of
good care. Yeah, good care of your just larynx or whatever it is that's involved in speaking there. Honey and ginger simultaneously?
Just everything, yeah. Just all parts of the system that produce these sounds, trying to keep them well oiled, so to speak.
Prosecutor Walton
because I'm not feeling too...
Oh, you're not feeling under the weather a little bit? Or are you just pissed off because your car keeps getting broken into?
That is the main thing in my life. I don't feel ill, but like the whole kind of throat, I'm trying to just hit those low notes that I usually get with that kind of intonation, and I'm just not getting there today. So I'm trying to hastily lubricate things using this. But yes, I don't think we have spoken about this at all on stream yet, so maybe I can start off by just ranting a little bit.
Pieces of his car robbed. Well, it's just the
I've
one
had,
time, but it's on the heels of a lot of other automotive issues, isn't it?
yeah, I've had a lot of automotive incurred expense lately. To round it off quickly, just to kind of summarize, I moved to a new city a couple of months after having bought my dad's car off of him. Not really bought, traded for the car I used to have, which was a Toyota Yaris. So I now have a Toyota Prius, 2008.
Ooh.
And it's a good car.
Yeah,
It's
Prius
been
is a nice
absolutely fine for my
vehicle.
dad. It's
You
good
trick that
fuel
thing out with
efficiency.
like a spoiler, fins, and flames coming out.
It's got the it's got those weirdly low kind of bezels around the edge. Yeah, no.
Neon,
Um,
just ground effects lighting. Yeah.
and it's got
Zzz,
that good
zzz,
old
zzz.
Japanese Toyota engineering, which is so reliable until, first of all, my exhaust corrodes off. And so, you know what? I wonder whether my exhaust corroded off, or was it actually someone taking a saw to it, but only doing half the job? Because my exhaust kind of comes off a little bit, and so I got to get that fixed. And then a tire valve apparently loosens or something, and so I got a flat tire and I got to get that looked at. And most recently, last Thursday, the day after our stream, someone stole my catalytic converter, which is not something I was aware was a popular crime, but having since looked into the issue, it's a very popular crime in 2019. In the first half of 2019 so far, there were already twice as many catalytic converter thefts in the UK as any year previously. And the reasoning is that the value of rhodium and palladium, which are two of the precious metals used in catalytic converters, has gone up in value massively lately.
Okay,
And
so
the
that's presumably like the materials that help to actually purify the exhaust, because the catalytic
yeah,
converter is that. It's the part of your exhaust system that actually, does
scrubs
something
out all
to,
the
yeah, scrub
carbon
out the.
monoxide and whatnot. Yeah.
Because
And the
there's been a
reason,
like known issue with airbags. That was a big thing for a long time. Was that they used gold connectors in the airbags, and I think it was in order to have the like most stable and fastest like firing of the airbag electrically. So using
oh
actual
right,
gold for the electrical contacts. That's my
and
guess. I'm
so
not
that
sure.
got
Yeah, and so
stolen with
lots
it.
of people
Yeah,
would break in and just rip out your steering column in order to take your airbag
yeah.
away.
Apparently, rhodium is now worth £4,000 or dollars per ounce.
Shit, I gotta get into the
So there you
rhodium
go.
market.
And the reason my car has been targeted, because it has been targeted, is because it's a Toyota Prius. It's a hybrid vehicle. It's quite efficient. And guess what? Hybrid vehicles don't use very much their catalytic converter because they produce less exhaust gases than other cars comparatively. And so the state of those elements in the converter is they're in a better state. They're
Pristine.
more
Oh,
valuable.
okay, yeah,
So
I get you.
and also
Harv, let
the
me tell you
Toyota Prius
something.
is awfully designed, so it's really easy to get to the catalytic converter.
Well, let me share this with you, Harv. You don't really need a catalytic converter. I mean, if you don't care about destroying the planet, you just pump
If you
that
don't
stuff
care
out there.
about sounding like a tank as well.
Yeah, it does help muffle the sound a little bit too, but the
Yeah.
muffler's doing some of that job.
Well, the mufflers, I mean, yeah, if I took out the cat and welded back on a tube to reconnect the
Yeah, yeah.
exhaust to itself, then the mufflers could continue to do their job, and I
And
would just
I
be
cannot
poisoning
confirm
the air a little bit more.
I can neither
Yeah.
confirm nor deny that my father, being a duct tape engineer, um, and wanting his vehicles to be as souped up as possible, and also having things like catalytic converters just sort of rust out on him. I cannot confirm nor deny that that's exactly how he runs his vehicle,
Really? Oh. I mean, I don't
or at least
blame him
one of
now that I've
them.
had this happen.
Mm.
My aftermarket second-hand replacement cost £400.
Oh my God, that's like seven
And
thousand dollars in American currency.
it's not. We're having Brexit soon. It's
That's
not
true.
worth seven thousand
It's
dollars.
used to
Maybe
be.
once upon a time. And on top of that, an extra 300-ish to include a replacement O2 sensor, which is in the cat. because that got stolen along with it, obviously, and fitting and services and whatnot. And
God.
this is not covered by my insurance, and I could talk about that for ages.
Mm.
But I'm now getting a cat lock, which is just another layer of metal to go around the cats to try and deter further thievery. So that's tomorrow morning. I'm driving to get that installed. So we'll see whether that has any effect or whether they'll just cut straight through that as well. Who knows?
So
You
Harvey,
know?
at this point, living in a civilized nation as you do, I mean, relatively speaking, the world is coming apart at the hinges. But from over here, I look across the water and say, have you considered at all possibly just given up the car and using the sufficient public transport systems that your nation has decided make sense, and mine hasn't?
Yeah.
I mean, I know
I've
it's less
not considered
convenient, but
fully selling the car, but I have considered a couple of times just taking it back home to my parents and leaving it there. I don't really need it where I'm living currently, but I like the freedom of having a car and being able to go places. Because we have public transport, but it's pretty inefficient and it's pretty expensive in comparison.
I've
If I
heard that
want to
your
visit my
train
girlfriend,
schedules are just great and always on time, and there's no major
always,
companies that fuck that up almost intentionally.
yeah. No, it's really not great,
Yep,
especially
that's
in the
how it is
parts of
over
the
there.
country where I live. Especially because we have a, I mean, calling it a mountain range is a bit of an excess. The Pennines, it's like a spine of the country which is just quite hilly, and so there's a lot of major roads and major railroads which go vertically down the country, north to south, towards the capital. There's so few that go across this like spine of the country, and as a result, trying to get public transport sideways east to west is really expensive and really inconvenient.
Mm.
And driving is also a bit of a pain because you have to kind of go through. There's literally a road I drive on every time I visit Sheffield, which is where I went to university, called Snake Pass. It's the most dangerous road in the UK, I'm fairly sure. Um, it looks like something out of a James Bond kind of chase scene where they're like going through the mountains, and I'm fairly sure parts of James Bond might have been filmed there. Um, but it's really fun to drive on. It's also really scary. So yeah,
My dad just
so
returned
I
from
like
the
having a car.
southwest of America, where he regaled me with tales of going up and down the desertous sort of mountain ranges and things at the hairpin turns that you climb up, and then 15 miles per hour turn to get around it and go up and then go up and then go up, and
Mm,
then worse,
yeah.
going down and just and looking over the edge and seeing if I slide off, I'm hoping that I
Mm,
slam into one of those pine trees, because short of that, it's
yes,
it's gonna it's not good
there are.
anyway.
Yeah, Matty Hayes has just pointed. He's just asked. Well, he said a while back. I assume you're not living in West Yorkshire, because public transport up here is just esh. Yeah, I'm basically living in West Yorkshire. Yeah, exactly. He's just yeah. Oh, never mind, Sheffield. Yeah. So I live in Chester currently, and so I make the commute between Chester and Sheffield quite a lot. It is that area.
You ever been to Shaftesbury?
No, where's Shaftesbury?
I believe it's in the the southwest. Yes, a very small town that was referenced once upon a time in a Bill Hicks skit, and which I
Oh
used
right.
for a number of years as just a reference.
Knowledge
Um,
of the geography
Nobody
based on
knows what it's like to be a dustbin in Shaftesbury with hooligans. Why are there no names with the 100-bit cheer? Thank you so much. To cheer everyone up with some nice news, I'm a girl now.
Ooh.
Y'all may call me Mel.
Hey!
Hey,
Hello, Mel!
congratulations, Mel. Welcome to
Yeah,
the
welcome.
non-gender binary club. Um, of which
Welcome
I
onto
don't
the
know if I'm
spectrum.
a member or not. Yeah, I'm not even. I just don't worry about it. I mean, look at my just look at my face. This is the face of a drag queen. I'm wearing a wig. I enjoy going in drag. I have had just the best time going in drag. It's just a lot of work, you know. I mean, look at the 5 o'clock shadow. I shaved like 2 days ago. It's just a lot of work to keep up. But outside of that, you know, I'm comfortable with myself. Is the thing. I just,
I am
you know,
actually. I mean, I don't really. I hesitate to admit this live on stream, but I'm incredibly transphobic. I hate trains. Just the public transport system, as we've already discussed, is awful. Um,
well,
you can be gay or trans or whatever you like, though. That's fine.
I
Just don't
hate
be a
trains. I'm
train.
incredibly transphobic because I get on a train and what if I'm stuck in there with some trans person or something? That would be horrible.
Ah,
No, I definitely consider myself just kind of, I don't know, like I am masculine in my energy. God damn, am I masculine in my energy kind of thing. But in terms of like gender identity, just like fuck off, you know, just whatever. Like it is what it is. I am who I am. If he's really cute and he's sweet, you know, I am who I am. Whatever happens to happen happens. But yeah,
can't
I don't
argue with
know.
that.
Yeah, have
Enjoy
we
life.
have we spent enough time? Oh well, actually, in addition, since we're just sort of in the part of the show where we're just kind of talking about our week and you know
Yeah.
how life keeps kicking us
This
in the
is all the bit
fucking nuts. I'm
before.
very sorry, Harvey. God, this is like, I mean, when you add this up, your stories of car woes, you're into the four digits in a currency where the four
Yep.
digits are more than I'm used to them being. So
Yeah.
damn.
So, patreon.com/harvanporn, which actually is a good way to segue us into our section, our discussion topic. But I was just going to say that this is the part of the show before the bit that goes on to our personal YouTube channels for now, because we just cut in to the start
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
of
yeah,
the
yeah.
main discussion
Right,
topic. And so
right.
here, we can just talk about whatever we like for as long as we like.
Yeah, we
Because none of
released
it, we don't have to worry
edited
about engaging an
version
audience,
as
because
a
you guys are slackers,
yeah. You just
gullible.
Bob. By the way, I see you in chat now, Bob. I caught rewatching the live stream. I caught your suggestion that we put somewhere in the Harvin Pond set like a clock, and that clock be
Oh, I
like
remember
how
seeing that.
long we've been live for. I love that
Yeah.
idea. It'll
Yeah, no, I like it
probably
as
never
well.
happen just
Yeah.
because I'm lazy, but I like the idea. And if I ever cease being lazy, then there will be a clock on this wall. That's brilliant.
I have. That's just inspired me. I want to create a GIF for you. Well, maybe not a GIF, that wouldn't work. I guess just a 2 hour long MP4 overlay with a transparent background, which is a Newton's cradle on my side of the desk, which starts swinging and then over the show just.
Little, you know what? I never knew that that was called a Newton's cradle. It's always just the clacker balls, I think.
The clacker balls.
You get
Yeah.
some clacker balls on your desk.
So there's
But
all
we
sorts
did
of
have
interesting little gimmicks we could do, but
yeah, we
effort.
did have a couple of things that I wanted to harken back to from previous streams, just as sort of updates. One of them is we did a stream. Jesus, is it like 3 weeks back now, or is it 4 weeks back now? We did a stream about the state of virtual reality, augmented reality, that sort of a thing. We had a big long discussion about well, like part of it was about Gen 2 VR and is VR dead and where do we stand on this whole thing? And Gen 2 VR doesn't look like they answered some of the issues, but they went backwards in other things. And Oculus made the errors that Vive made in the first iteration, and Vive made the errors that Oculus made in the first iteration on their second generations. And we talked a lot about VR. And then, literally the day after, I caught wind that there had been that I believe it was Oculus had done like a conference for members of the media to come by and look at their new stuff, and basically Oculus saved Gen 2 in my opinion, like completely saved it, and they did it with a cable because
Yes.
Oculus released the Quest for VR this year, and the Quest is the completely mobile headset that's got its own CPU on board, running a tablet kind of, CPU, that level of power, a very nice tablet to be rendering what it's rendering at, I think, 78 frames per second or something like that. But
I don't remember the specifics.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was like incredibly well received. People love it. A headset that you can just like have the games on, pick up, put on, grab the controllers and go. People friggin' love it. But it wasn't connected to the PC. It's less powerful. You can't run like the higher end games on it, or if you do run the higher end games, you're getting a lower graphical fidelity. There's other things that you might want to do with your headset that you can't do with the Quest because it's specifically a mobile headset. Um, and what
Until.
Oculus, yeah, until what Oculus announced the friggin' day after we did our coverage on Gen 2 kinda sucks, but VR's not dead, but Gen 2 kinda sucks. They announced a cable, the Link, the Oculus Link, for the Quest,
Uh,
that is a, what is it, a USB 3, uh,
USB-C.
USB
Yeah.
C, yes, USB
And
C.
it's amazing. You've got to give them credit. They turned that around really quick. I mean, we laid out that plan for them, and then the next day, someone at Oculus was like, "Fuck, that's it," and they just
Oh,
spit out this cable.
I see
Why
you're
didn't we
giving us
think we could
credit.
just plug it in with a USB cable? What was that about? Yeah.
You're giving us credit for it. And I was
Of
thinking that you were
course.
doing the other thing, which is to say, wow, they really turned that out quick after they developed the Quest
No, they
because
turned it out real
clearly
fucking
they
slow.
had this in the back room and they knew they were going to do this and they released the
Mm.
Quest and they kind of, they juked Vive with their
Mm.
release and they also put themselves in a position where they can sell the Link as an upgrade to your Quest and
Well,
make a
do you
little bit more
know?
money.
Do you know
But I mean,
why it took them this long to release it?
no, no.
So the main disadvantage of the Quest now over, say, the Rift S, the special edition,
Mm.
is because it's incredibly compressed video. To get all the power and the data with low latency over a USB cable, they had to figure out some new clever ways of compressing the video sufficiently.
And
Apparently,
two,
that's what the time was.
yeah, two, renders of it have to come across USB-C because you need the left eye and the right eye, and you got to force that down the pipe on USB-C. Plus, that cable is not just an average USB-C cable; it carries power. So it is a specialized custom, thing that they also had to have known that they were going to build so that their receptacle could also be like prepared to deliver a
Well,
customized cable that's not just standard
yeah.
USB-C. So they
Well, I mean,
knew.
that's the thing
They
is
knew
that
that it was in development.
Apparently USB-C from the beginning was intended to kind of be a solve-all that did everything, and then it was. I'm fairly sure it was designed to be able to do power and video and
I mean,
internet and
yeah,
all
yeah,
that
all
kind of
USB
stuff.
cables are
Um,
capable of carrying power, but from what I understand, it is a customized cable. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to sell it for $80.
yeah, I mean, presumably, or maybe it just is the same as a regular old USB
And
cable,
they're
and just
just trying to sell it for radio.
go
One
down to
way or another,
Poundland.
their software work at compressing that video has made it so that now the Oculus Quest, in my opinion, has made the Rift S completely like I wouldn't even look at the Rift S because that is a exclusively tethered to your PC experience. And although, as Harvey is saying, the video is massively compressed in order to get across, the reviewers that were able to put their heads in the headset at least on that day, reported back that they didn't see any significant evidence of that. They weren't bothered by
Yeah,
any like weird graphical artifacts or things, and they were looking for it because they know what to look for. And they
which
were like, "It looks fine."
I think people like this kind of goes back to what we partly concluded in that live stream, which is that people don't really need higher fidelity right now. Like, it's good enough, the kind of
Yeah,
resolution and all that stuff. It's kind of just, it's okay. It's not amazing. It doesn't look like reality, but in terms of like having a comfortable experience, we're close enough there for gaming at least.
yeah. I felt like Gen One VR. They hit what like to me is the equivalent of 720p in televisions because like 1080p is
Yeah.
great to have, But in the most average, most generic, most often use case, a 32-inch 720p television is absolutely fine. And
Yeah.
if you're going to hang a 32-inch television and you're going to like pay extra for it to be 1080p, you need to be closer than like 12 feet, or else you're probably not going to know the difference between a 720 and a 1080 monitor, or
I
at
think
least
it's
in the process of viewing it. Like, there's a lot of snobs about like video and stuff, and they'll, I say that and it's like, wait a second, I know the difference between
yeah.
quality. But I'm just saying, like, in the most generic scenario, a 720p at a certain distance, if you've got 1080 there, your eyes aren't going to notice a significant difference. So like it's a butter zone of like cost, efficiency, and just getting the most for your money without overspending for something that you can't really get much use out of. And I feel
I
like
think
Gen 1
it's
VR nailed that with the visual fidelity of the Vive and the Oculus and all of them. Like, well, I only tried the Vive, but from the reports of the reviewers, it was just, it's good. I mean, it can be improved, but everybody was happy. Nobody was like, oh, God, the resolution. We're not talking about the Game Boy VR or whatever. Ooh, random aim with the 200
random
bits,
aim.
cheering
Thank you very much.
for the catalytic. Hey, for the catalytic converter and for Pawn's heating. Maybe someday we will have a thin shirt stream due to all the heat.
Yes, I did notice today that we're both wearing jumpers, and I was like, "Huh, this is a product of our poverty." Yeah.
It's cold in here. I'm not running the heat super high.
Hmm.
I'm gonna try and
I did
make sure
want to
my bills
say
don't go any higher.
I did want to say that I think we've. I don't want to go into this topic much more because we do have a topic to talk about today.
Yeah, that's true. We've been here for half an hour.
But I'll just finish off by saying that it's the same as with like any technology, where you don't really realize something is bad until you get used to trying something better. Like 720p was fine for a very long time until you kind of get used to 1080, and then if you go back, you're like, oh, I kind of this feels fuzzy. So Gen 1 is like, hey, this is amazing. It's like the best thing I've tried so far. And then once you try something really good and go back to it, it's probably going to be like, oh, this is awful.
Yeah, yeah.
So I imagine reviewers probably have a little bit of that kind of bias towards,
Higher
not,
resolutions, better fidelity.
yeah,
Yeah.
because they're the ones who've actually been able to try them. So
Hmm.
anyway, that
So
aside,
yeah, Oculus
um,
saved Gen 2 VR in my opinion. There's now a headset out there that you can buy and it's purely mobile if you want it to be, or you can plug it into your computer and use all of the power of your desktop system and have the
the most
best.
flexible
Yeah.
headset
Um,
out there.
there's
Yeah.
limitations in the specs and stuff like that, but yeah, for my money, there's no reason to look at anything other, including Vive's offerings, than the Oculus Quest with the Link cable. Uh,
Hmm.
but so that was one of the updates. The other update, and we kind of gotta rush through it, don't we? Just to get on to our main discussion topic today. But the other thing is, of course, last week, our show at the last minute, it was going to be homelessness, which is what we're going to talk about today. But at the last minute, it turned into it turned into me showing my analysis of another speedrunner, Connor Ace in Cluster Truck. I'm a Cluster Truck speedrunner. Um, video that he had for 8 months circulated as the world record, and that he told us all was his submission to GDQ and all this kind of stuff. And so I had brought my analysis to the show, uh, to literally like get your feedback and see if anybody could point out before I brought it like directly to the community. Because this is, it's just us is how I think about it. We're still kind of a small community in of ourselves, so it's like just bring it to your friends and colleagues and kind of stuff and show it off. And I encouraged Harv and everybody in chat to like poke holes if they could find holes and criticize and that kind of stuff. And you guys were very scientific about it. Thank you very much for holding me to the fire on that. But at the end of the day, after that live stream, the next day or within like 6 or 12 hours of that live stream, under direct pressure from Apollo Legend questioning him and presenting my evidence, he caved and finally acknowledged, after trying to defend it for a while in Apollo's conversation, that yes, it is a fake, and yes, I made it to submit to GDQ, and yes, I submitted it to GDQ and everything. Um,
Cheer there from Why Are There No Names, now known as Mel. Is this a
oh, that's
cult?
right.
Yes, this is a cult,
Yes.
for
Welcome
sure.
to the cult of Harv and Paul. Um,
Welcome.
you are generating HP in chat. It will corrupt your soul in time. So, if you have anything, if you want to go to like a church, get that out of the way because about 2 weeks after now, it's your soul's going to be too black. It's just gonna, you'll start to burn if you walk in. So do all your church
Mm.
going. But yeah, so that was our last episode. Was my video analysis of Connor Ace's fake, what he has now acknowledged was a fake, false, spliced, world record claim, and things that I need to say before we go on to our next topic is thank you to Apollo Legend who worked with me and who was my go-between. I just did the like background analysis and kind of told kind of fed Apollo Legend like the information and helped him in like figuring out what the questions would be. But he was the voice who was like across from Connor, you know, with the light and everything going, tell me where are the drugs? Why did you kill Martha? That kind of a thing. Um, so he was the guy, and his coverage has turned into, I mean, literally thousands of people came to my channel on the day that he released that to my various channels across YouTube and Twitch, came to my channels and threw me a sub, threw me a follow. There are people right now, probably right now, who are like giving me their Twitch Prime subscription accounts on
Mm.
Ronan
I got
Pawn.
gifted one.
Yeah,
I told
yeah,
you about this.
right.
Some random guy just gifted me a Rodin Porn Twitch subscription for a month. So you're welcome.
Thank you, and thank you to the person who gifted Harvey the subscription. Like the amount of support that came out in the wake of that video to like back me up and to bring reparations to a really horrible thing that happened because I was selected by GDQ to run that run in June, SGDQ 2019, and then it got reversed, and there's no way to say for certain, but it seems plausible, not plausible, but probable, that Connor Ace's many lies, including what he was tweeting on Twitter about holding the world record and how can this guy have gotten in instead of me when he now admits that was fake. That he did everything within his power to snake that selection away from me, and the selection was reversed, and I didn't get to go to GDQ, and Connor did. So thank you all to everyone who came out and showed a little bit of support, with just a sub and a follow and checking out the videos and that kind of a thing. I am in your debt greatly. My bank account was in such a state that I was worried about whether or not I could pay the bills over this winter, and whether or not I'd be able to afford my winter taxes coming due in January, and whether or not I'd be able to keep my house. And you have solved that with your generosity.
Ooh.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your generosity, Evil Donna Balkan. Evil Donna. Evil Donna Balkan. I think I got it right first time.
Yes,
For the
absolutely.
500 bits! Oh my god! Just started the stream, I saw some bits in my account, so I guess I will spend it here. Well, we appreciate it.
Ooh, ooh,
And
ooh. And
money
I
well
got
spent,
an
I would say.
emote. I got an emote, and it's RPG Epic Staff from Evil Donner Balkan's Cheer. You rewarded 10 others in chat with emotes, and I'm one of them. Thank you.
And hey, you just subscribed with Twitch Prime.
You're blasting us,
Hell
boy.
yeah.
You're blasting us.
Excellent.
That's worth about $2.50 to us, that subscription, just to let like people know that that's what you've done for me in like coming to my channel on the wake of the Apollo Legend video and subscribing, is each one of the hundreds of people who have thrown me their Twitch Prime subscription, which you get for free just by if you've got Twitch Prime, um, you know, $2.50 per head. I'm good now. Thank you. I now owe the universe a karmic. Like, karma was imbalanced due to what Connor had done, and it's now imbalanced in the other direction. What?
Mosaic Task Force just gifted me a subscription to Harv and Porn.
Thank you, Harvey. Thank you for the 250.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, the 125, because 125 of it goes to you, which I think is really kind of messed up that you're paying yourself. But whatever.
Well, more like it's a donation from Mosaic Task Force, 125 to each of us. So again, thank you
Yes,
for
thank you
that.
very much, Mosaic Task Force. So, again, to
Yeah, so
try
to
and get
segue
through to the other side
to.
of this, the last thing that I need to say, I'm sorry,
Oh, okay.
but I do need to
All
say
right.
it, is since
All
we're
right.
doing the updates, at this point in the story with Connor Ace, he's admitted that he did it. He at one point said he did it, but he never intended to submit it to GDQ. Now he says he definitely intended it to submit to GDQ. But his current story, it has changed many times, but I think I understand it now, is that he created the run to submit to GDQ. He actually submitted it, but then in the 11th hour, he swapped it out for a real run because he didn't want to be, that big of a douchebag and submit, a fake run. One questions if he hadn't have had, gotten a good run in. But this is his story. Who knows how much of it is true at this point? He's changed it so many times. But regardless, his story is now that he swapped it out at the 11th hour, so he never technically submitted it to GDQ. And because of that, nothing wrong was done, really, when you think about
Oh,
it.
he's completely cleared now, as far as I'm
Yeah,
concerned. Yeah, he did nothing wrong
exonerated
ever. Yeah.
entirely. And the fact that he
Yeah.
can't produce any evidence whatsoever of this claim is, I mean, we should trust the, just if he says it, then all the lies that he's been telling on top of lies and lies, you got to give people the benefit of the doubt. And he deserved it. He deserved it. But so that's the current state of things, and the reason why I mention that is because what is like a fact of the matter right now is that the speedrun.com/cluster truck leaderboards, one of their moderators, there's only three left. One of the moderators is Taskinos, who actually sat on Connor's couch at GDQ. Uh, so they're buds. And instead of the leaderboards for Cluster Truck, what I used to consider my community and my leaderboards, instead of them like at the very least temporarily banning Connor from submitting new runs as a punishment, possibly even removing his current runs now that they're called into question by the fact that he admits splicing. Instead of that, what they've done is they have allowed him to submit a new run to the leaderboards, and Taskinos has approved it. And if you go over to that Discord chat in Landfall Games, you will find a toxic, nepotistic bro circle jerk going on
Oh.
of people
Hmm.
who are just like, they've decided that, you know, that if Connor says it went this way, then that's the way it went, even though Connor for 8 months lied to them, um, lied to GDQ and to his friends. Where are you going? I'll go over here so you can take your pants off or whatever. Um,
Just adjusting things. I'm sorry. I don't know if that's better or worse.
but so yeah,
So
I
I have a
have left
question.
that community and I'm not in that Discord chat anymore. And
Oh.
it, I have some ideas about things to submit to the leaderboards in future that I think will be fun. Because like at this point, when there's no punishment whatsoever for acknowledging like cheating and stuff like that, okay, like that's what you're gonna encourage on your leaderboards is how I feel, and I'm just
Well,
like,
so I saw a live stream
protest.
from Connor Race shortly afterwards of the whole
Oh,
thing,
really?
and he was using a hand cam. He was streaming live with a hand cam this time.
Mm.
So his new time on the leaderboard, it doesn't have a hand cam with it, does it?
Yes, yes, I believe it does. His
Oh, it
new time on
does.
the
Okay.
leaderboard. I have not watched it because honestly, the further away from this bullshit that I can get, the better. I've been like
Yeah,
neck deep
understandably.
in it for like a week now, just trying to prove Connor guilty, and then he admits it, and then his story changes, and then he's saying this on Twitter, but he's saying this in the background and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I haven't seen it. But what I understand is that he both put a hand cam up to prove that he was running, since his runs are so suspicious at this point, and also he included the spinning dots that he intentionally put that on screen so that that could be verified
Yeah,
as
I
well.
saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, because he's an espoused cheater, He's now like giving us all the proof that he's actually running the game when he's actually running the game. Um, Apparently, Connor thinks that this proves something, and that it's an
Well, to be
exonerating
fair,
evidence.
I mean, you talk about it very cynically now, but as much as he obviously did cheat and is continuing to just lie about what he did,
Hmm.
I'm quite happy to see now that he's providing evidence. I mean, it, I feel if I were a moderator of that leaderboard, I would definitely get rid of all of his old runs. But if he's submitting runs now which are pretty much verifiably consistent and true,
Hmm.
then a part of me kind of thinks that, yeah, like let him carry on. Let kind of people judge him for what he's done. But objectively, if he's doing runs, then it's kind of the skill of the run which is important, and maybe the character shouldn't determine whether these verifiable objective runs are allowed on the borders or not.
And the
Don't know.
only thing that I have like against that, because I think that I agree, but I also think that there does need to be like a punishment, as more so like not really even for the sake of Connor, who doesn't seem to be, can't be penetrated by punishment and reasonable arguments and things, but more so as a
Yeah.
statement to others who might follow in his footsteps. Because if there is no punishment whatsoever, we have established during this analysis that it is incredibly easy to fake a run and incredibly
Mm.
difficult to detect a faked run. So, really, sort of like in America, it is a federal crime to mess with someone else's mail. So if in fact, I think technically you're not allowed to like deliver like a handwritten letter into someone's mailbox even. I mean, that's something that nobody prosecutes and no one has a problem with, but I think
Yeah.
technically it's illegal. And the reason is because there is no way to prevent someone from coming and like taking your mail, and maybe you've got checks in there and important stuff and documents that have your information on it. They can just walk up while you're away and grab your mail and walk away. So, because of that, if anyone is ever caught doing it, you punish the shit out of them, because there's no way to
To
deter it
deter
other than
everyone
to
else who would do it.
have a
Yeah.
severe punishment. So my only addition to what you said is that yes, Connor should be allowed to submit again, and he should be required to provide ample evidence that maybe other runners don't have to, considering the circumstances. But there should be a period of some length at which you ban him from submitting to the leaderboard as a statement. That, and also that, yeah, I agree with you that previous runs should be removed from the boards, because he's admitted that he was not above this kind of behavior
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
then, and his runs are 2 years old and that kind of a thing. So who's to say what's true or not? So it's like you don't hang an albatross around someone's neck and make them carry it for their entire lives. Something that you did yesterday or said yesterday is what you did and said yesterday. I'm a friggin' Zen Buddhist over here. You are a brand new
Yeah,
entity
this
in the
Connor is
cosmos every second.
not the same Connor that did all that bad stuff. So what's the
That's absolutely
problem?
true. I
Yeah.
am absolutely in favor of that, but I'm also in favor of justice and fair desserts and maintaining some kind of like standard in a sport that is exclusively regulated by internal communities. And the fact that Tascanoes and that the boards of Cluster Truck have done precisely nothing, and in fact the opposite of what they should be doing in the wake of this, says everything that they could
Yeah,
possibly
I
say about
agree.
like their
Yeah.
own. So that's said, and that's done, and it's time for a live stream break. No.
Many thanks for watching Harv and Porn. You
Yeah,
can donate to us on Patreon. So
but to be honest,
let's go
Harv, in
into.
fairness, it was mostly your car. All right, I talked about Connor for 10 minutes.
I think someone can check the timings on that, and we
Don't
can.
know. No, you're splicing. Who's splicing? Never happened.
So I want to go back to Patreon. the thing we're doing with Patreon right now is very scientific and very evidence-based. You'll find we ran a poll on first our current patrons. Thank you very much to those of you who are our patrons. And then we opened it up to the audience and Pawn's YouTube audience and my YouTube audience. And we found out what people would value most in return for supporting us on Patreon. And what we found was that they would really like the ability to vote on discussion topics, to have their say, to have your say, maybe, on what we talk about. And so, with that as the winning thing, we did exactly that. And of 5 different discussion topics we suggested, homelessness and our favourite games were the 2 which got voted the most for. So if you would like your chance to vote on next week's set of discussion topics, which will probably include things like musicality. Paul and I both have various experiences with writing music or lyrics or some combinations of the two. That's one of the topics that is on our current set of maybes for the future. Do you remember what the other ones are? I can't remember right now.
Won't make the bed up
writing.
straight. I always stay out late. I never take you out. That's what you're all about. I always smell like smoke. Everything's just a joke. I never look at you when you come hear me sing.
That's brilliant. I mean, if you don't want to see more of that, then what the hell are you doing with your life?
Something wrong with you.
Patreon.com/Harv1. Creative writing was number 1. I've got various things that I've written in the past, some of which I've shown on my live stream a little bit the other night. I'd love to talk more about that because I've got so many projects that have never been shown and are just begging to become a discussion topic for Harv and Pawn. So, various things coming on your way. Have your say at patreon.com/Harv and Pawn. Subscribers are included.
That's
Mosaic
right.
Task Force has just pointed out that I am a sub and therefore I have a vote now, Pawn. Yeah.
Twitch subscribers also as well. Indeed.
Yes, no, that's what I mean, not YouTube subscribers. You guys get fuck all. Just Twitch subscribers and patrons who support us.
If you
and
don't
can
click,
support
if
us
you don't
with
ding the bell, you can go fuck yourselves.
You can support us with as little as $1 per month. And you get behind the scenes content, and you get now the ability to vote on discussion topics, and there's going to be more things coming in the future, depending on what we think you guys would really actually like to see. So, with that said, today's discussion topic is homelessness. What the hell do we mean by the broad umbrella term of homelessness?
I think we mean... Well,
bits.
Right. Yeah, I think we mean 100-bit cheer from Why Are There No Names. It seems very
lack
unfair
of this.
that the only
Probably
people
part of it.
that only the people with money get to vote. How very American. Hey.
Yes.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Thank you very much for the bits. Giving money directly to us, which is apparently not something you should do.
Did you know people
to homeless
elected
people.
Donald Trump? I swear to God.
Oh my Lord.
So this is what I think is the first thing that we should say about homelessness.
Okay.
Harv and I have been playing Minecraft together, where we are homeless, and so here's my idea. Because it's taken an hour, the better part of an hour, to get to this point in the live stream.
Is it actually?
Yes, we're now we're
God,
50-some minutes. Yeah, 51 minutes and 43 seconds into this live stream. I think what we do is we play the Minecraft is Too Easy segment that we've been recording together, that we recorded together a while ago, to show you guys us struggling to stay alive and with our homelessness in the world of might. And then we take our live stream break, and then we come back and we nail homelessness. You like my plan?
Yeah, I like your plan.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, join Harv and I in the incredibly difficult world of might.
If we dig this dirt, we can block it once they break it, right?
Yeah, as long as that dirt doesn't expose. Well, it won't expose a hole that they can get through. It might expose some light to us. That's the other thing that people don't
Oh,
expect in light
fuck.
is that everything's got gravity.
So it did expose maybe a
No, no,
hole.
we're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're not fine, but we'll,
Also, aren't there one block tall mobs, though?
you know what? We probably don't have to worry about it, but there's wood spiders, and wood spiders are a son of a bitch.
Great.
They just
Oh,
spawn
that's
wherever
just
there happens
beautiful.
to be wood. And they are 1 block's, big, so they can pass through 1 block thing, but more importantly, they're poisonous, and they
Oh,
are
great.
just slightly not as fast as you at a full run. So you really can't. The only way to really juke them and dodge them and get away once they've got their eyes on you is to put like water between you and them and let their pathing slow them down.
What
Yeah, it's
was
a
it that
vicious,
got you
vicious
into
one.
this game, Pawn?
I could dig this one and then we'd be screwed. I just have to replace it. Oh, but I've got a dirt block. Hey, I'm gonna dig gravel. I can
I like how
replace
your
it.
attention span just kind of eventually wanders back.
Gravel.
If you don't
gravel,
have gravel to dig... Oh, wait.
Now we're miting, Harv. This is what it's all about. Standing in a
This is
hole
true,
for
mate.
5 minutes wondering what your life's about and then realizing my life's about gravel. It's always been about gravel. Gravel, 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 gravel. Malkovich, 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 Malkovich.
I'm not in the easier situation because I'm fairly sure I'm wasting energy very quickly by having to jump every time I place this guy.
See, now you are already becoming like a
Yeah.
might player. I can't believe it's so quick that you're like paying attention to the single jumps that you put in. Because yes, absolutely, you should be concerned about the single jumps. Every ounce of energy is your life's blood, Harvey. You
Yeah,
mustn't waste it. Oh shit! Shit! Get your oh shit! Get your gravel! Get your gravel! Keep punching it! Keep punching it!
Oh.
Get it back! Shit! I blocked you too. Okay, no, we're fine. Okay, you stay where you are. Don't move. You will be
I'm
fine.
fine. I'm just gonna ignore the world around me.
Oh, but he's digging. Oh, do you have a stick?
I have
Don't
a
use the
hatchet.
fucking hatchet. Do not use the hatchet.
I have the gravel now.
I'm coming to save you
Thank you.
from the rain. Fucking rain again.
As soon as this dirt breaks, I'm gonna place the gravel.
I'm taking sugar.
In fact, I'm just gonna place gravel here. There we go.
What use are you standing here? Come help us for Christ's sake. There's a golem there.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm gonna ignore my problems and I'm gonna keep digging gravel.
You just keep digging that hole to freedom.
I can just dig downwards, but no. I'll dig this dirt.
He's got a shovel. He's gonna go through that dirt. Maybe I can draw him. Oh, there's 2 of them now. Oh, maybe they're fighting each other for getting in there. Hi, guys. Huh? Any interest in me instead of my boy? Huh? There you go. What if I punch you in the back of the head?
Oh, one
What
of
if I punch you in
them's
the back of the head?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I should have placed it much sooner. Damn.
Maybe I might have gotten you killed there when I punched him in the back of the head.
I guess I'll respawn straight away.
I pulled the one. Oh, now he's got your hatchet. So that's how that
great.
works. Yeah. Yeah.
Why aren't you
Welcome night,
helping?
everybody? I'm helping. We
No,
don't have a
golem
stick
again.
either, do we?
Nope.
No stick.
But hey, I'm getting all the levels. They just happen to be negative.
In, out. Oh, I need a stick. If I had a stick, I could beat him to
Shake
death.
it all about. Do the hokey pokey and you turn.
Or, okay, if I can lure them away and you can, like, break our other block of wood, then you can make us sticks. Here's the block of wood.
Thanks.
So if you break the other
you
block
look-
of wood that's
isn't
back
that way,
there
no,
in the
just-
cave.
One of them's
Oh,
pathfinding to
okay,
me.
the guy with the hatchet. Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
I got him on me.
Alright, they're both on you.
Got him on. Come on, bitches! Don't I look tasty? Wouldn't you want some juicy Ronin pawn buns in your mouth? Come get them!
Stop talking like that, otherwise I'm gonna come.
You guys ain't even nothing. I'm just gonna, like, pick up seeds. That's how worried I'm not about you. Okay, that's...
Yeah, that's it. Intimidate them. I broke the wood and it just gave me wood. Am I expecting something different?
No, the wood. Now you can take the 2 pieces of wood and stack them in
What?
your,
No, it just gave me wood
Oh.
planks. The same thing.
Right. No, so take in your inventory, craft them into sticks.
I only have one.
No, but there's the second one that was. I gave you one, and then there's a second one that should have been in the hole.
I see.
That was the whole premise.
Just keep doing a good job, Pawn. Just keep it up.
Oh shoot! I might have lost them.
Buy me
Oh
a
no
little bit more
I got
time.
them. I'm kiting.
I promise I'm not an idiot.
I'm kiting.
Do you know what I was doing?
I don't want to know. No, what were you doing?
I was breaking the wood you gave me and expecting it to break into sticks or something.
I mean, it's might. It's.
That's the thing, is that I'm trying to
considered
throw
that at
all of my
some point.
Minecraft expectations out the window. Okay, sticks.
Uh-oh.
Right, I have 4 sticks being made.
I may have let them get too close to me, Harv.
Please don't die.
Okay.
Right, I got
I've worked it.
sticks. If you work your way back to me, I'll throw you a stick.
Okay.
I'll throw you
I
2 sticks.
Kinda got them trapped in the jungle, which would be great if he didn't have our hatchet. He needs to die. Ooh, look at all that gravel. Okay, we
Alright,
found our
come
new
here,
house.
come here.
Oh, no, we didn't.
There are 2 sticks here.
2 sticks?
Here.
Okay.
We're here. Down
Quit
here. Oh,
picking them back up.
there.
Okay. Alright,
Right.
so best way to fight a zombie is to stand above them and hit down,
Right.
especially because he's got a hatchet, and that means his reach is as long as yours is, basically. So being above, that's not above, Harv. That
Yeah,
is not
I'm
no, that's not up. That's not
I'm
up.
trying to figure out the range. There we are.
Okay. There we go. There we go.
Alright. Tag team.
It
Tag
doesn't
team
seem
this.
like tag team. It seems like you're just doing it, which I'm fine with. Oh, move back, moving back. Oh, I'm starving to death. Oh, I'm starving to death. I forgot to eat.
Well, I have
Okay.
nothing to eat, so you're
I've
doing better than I
added-
am.
You got the one
Wait,
with the
you're not actually, but-
and then no, he's still alive. Okay. All right, we've split them up now. So one for you and one for me, and
Oh, there's a
over the. Oh,
skeleton
there's a
there.
skelly! Look out for the skelly!
Oh,
It's
fuck.
a bow. He'll shoot you.
I'm on half
Oh,
a heart.
they're easier to kill. They're easier to kill. Oh, but we need that
Oh,
zombie
fuck
dead.
me. Go, Pawn.
Die!
Oh, you died, Pawn.
Okay.
Oh, no, Pawn.
Yeah,
Oh, I died.
I had to try for it. We gotta get rid of him.
Alright, respawn again.
Okay.
Level
I'm in the
4.
underworld. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try and go through before you do because maybe we'll be able to see each other.
Okay.
Okay, I'm through. I'm out.
Oh, cool.
Taking 4 carrots. And we gotta. Yes, I can see you. Okay, where the fuckers? What happened to this tree?
Oh, wasn't
Someone's
me.
already been here. Okay.
Dun, dun,
okay,
dun.
back that way. Yeah, you're right. I got confused.
If someone's already been here and tried to play Might in this area, do you think we're living in a lesser gravel saturated zone? Oh, fuck.
It doesn't seem that way.
No, it seems fine.
You know, the fact that there was gravel right here. I've seen gravel. Yeah, we're fine for gravel.
Hello, Skelly. Oh my god.
Yeah. Punch him. Well, hit him.
Got him. I got him.
Yeah.
Fucking A, mate.
Yes! That's what getting XP is like, Harvey. Did
Hell
you
yeah.
like it? Now, where's the guy who's got our fucking hatchet?
I don't know, but I have a bow now and I have precisely 1 arrow. Oh, he's down here. There's a normal zombie down here.
Oh, shit.
And he killed me.
You can't just stand
I
there.
was a dick. Idiot fool. I decided to run towards him to knock him off of the mountain. I just swung slightly too late and level 5.
I'm gonna get my first XP. Come on, just die already.
So I keep
Come
my
on.
XP. Do I keep my XP?
No. It's lying here on the ground for you, though.
But I have some green, so I didn't lose it all.
Oh. Okay. I don't know how the hell that shit
Yeah.
works.
We should have just waited until daytime. Or until it stopped raining.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that was Minecraft is Too Easy. Harv and I struggling desperately to overcome our state of homelessness, which is
Well,
what
you
we're going
say-
to talk about.
You say that was Minecraft is too easy, but I died about 5 times in that video, so I don't think it was too easy. What's going on there? I feel cheated. I feel lied to. This experience is far more traumatizing than I expected. Just like homelessness.
I have no way to answer your questions. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a live stream break and give everybody an opportunity to pee. And when we come back, we are going to dig deep into our personal experiences with homelessness. And we have a lot to talk about and less than an hour to do so. So we will be back in 5 minutes from now. Stay with us. Harv and Pawn not out.
Please listen carefully.
welcome back from the break. I hope you grabbed yourself some snack chips. As was said in chat a little bit earlier. So, homelessness? Homelessness? Shall we homeless? Who wants to homeless?
Homelessness.
Who's been
Yes,
homeless?
all the fun has now gone from the stream. Actually, we say that, but there are many types of fun, and I think kind of intriguing and interesting stories
Yeah, and my
is
stories,
fun.
some of them are, they're fun. They're good Christian stories, Harvey.
I mean, fun in a sense of I feel like I am learning kind of fun, and I'm interested in learning about your experiences of being homeless because, as you've told me already, you have kind of voluntarily become homeless in the past in order to experience it, right?
Yeah, well, a man who drinks this much is going to end up homeless one way or the other. But I chose to be homeless, even when times were well, when income was good. Times weren't good, and that's sort of what drove me to it. I don't recall the year. I'm very bad with like years and time and recalling my own history.
How much of that beer have you been drinking?
If I had more, I'd start recalling it, or at least not caring that I don't know for sure. Um, but yeah, so I used to be a member of a band called Dead Letters. At first, it was Dead Letter Office. Then we came around to, well, Dead Letter Office was before me, but we came around to Dead Letters in Detroit, and we actually picked up some steam as a band. And the Parliament Funkadelic was coming to Detroit. Parliament Funkadelic. A lot of people won't recognize the name, but they are no small act, no small band in musical history. And they had basically left Michigan, uh, I think after like maybe some prosecution or something like that, or some really shitty stuff that happened to them in Michigan. So they had left and said, we're not coming back to Michigan ever again. And so it had been like 2 decades or something like that. Maybe I'm exaggerating, I don't really know. But it had been a decade or two since they had been in Michigan. They were planning their We're Coming Back to Michigan tour, and we were going to be their opening act.
Oh, I see.
So I only say that in order to preface this because, like, the sudden realization that this thing is taking off and this is gonna be my life, possibly. Do I actually want to be doing this? Like, it's one thing when you're just like a little, city band, neighborhood band, and you're, having fun with your friends, and it's cool that people like you and you're a little bit popular kind of thing. But if we're going to be on a big stage like that, this could turn into like my career as a drummer in Dead Letters. And do I want this for my life? And my answer to myself at that time came in the form of crying into a plate of eggs at a ram's horn. The lead guitarist and I were sobering up after a night of a row, and not knowing why I was smiling and laughing, and the tears were just streaming down, and it was like something was so broken in my life and myself that I just like didn't even understand myself at that point. And I quickly came to the conclusion this isn't what I want to be doing. I still have questions that I need answered, and that resulted in me reading the New Testament of the Bible, specifically focusing on the Gospels of the Christian, King James Bible, and reading the teachings of Jesus and finding out, hey, this Jesus guy isn't as big of a prick as his followers seem to be. He's actually this guy's a political socialist. He believes in, you can attain and achieve and experience happiness by just caring for other people and, giving everything that you have that is yours to others and just being at the whim and the will of other people's kindness and their charity. And everything that he was saying was just exactly what I needed to hear at that point. And it was also a challenge to me. I considered it a challenge because actually in the Bible, Jesus, the Rabbi Yeshua, actually does sort of pose it as a challenge. If you don't believe me, test me, try it. Sell off all of your possessions, give the money to the poor, take up your cross and follow me, is the basic
And so you were
sentiment
like,
there.
well, fuck you, Jesus. Maybe I will.
That's right, Jesus. What, you think I'm a bitch over here? You think you just... No, I'm going to check you out. I check my fucking sources. I bring them to
Call your
Harv and
bluff.
Pawn. That's right. I'm going to call your bluff. So I did that. I sold off like all the useless possessions that I had. I took the money. I gave it to the most poor and needy person that I knew, which was my mom, because she was... Later, she would know that she had Sjogren's syndrome, and she was trying to get SSDI, which is a 3-year-long thing, so she had no income. She was living in her mother's basement. So I give all my money to my mom, and just, like, threw a guitar over my shoulder and a sack of clothes, and honestly, way too much shit that I couldn't carry it once I got there, and I threw a dart. I had a map of the United States of, metaphorically, but literally at random, chose a place and went there, and it was Joplin, Missouri. And I landed in Joplin, Missouri off of a Greyhound bus that cost me $79 or something for the one-way ticket, and stepped off the bus in a city I did not know, with no one who I knew in that city, and all the possessions that I had left in the world over my shoulder, and proceeded to try to survive, and more so proceeded to try to be of use to my fellow human being, and to be, giving and generous, and to be a good Christian soldier, so to speak. So I was homeless in Joplin, Missouri for, I think, a month and a half. My stories are fucking insane in the amount of, like things coalescing in order to make it so that, like, I was cared for at every friggin' step. Harvey, I land in this city that I've never been in before, and as I'm walking down an alley trying to be quiet, I need to resettle my pack because it's too heavy on my shoulders. I sit down next to what I assume is an abandoned building, but I'm not assuming it so much as I'm just gonna be loud and stuff. If somebody's in there, I'm being quiet, and within like a minute, a dude comes around the corner and says, "Who's making all this noise back here?" And I just look up to him before I can give an answer. He just kind of motions to me and says, "Well, come on." And so I follow him around the corner of the house into the front yard, and he's got like patios. He's got like just patio chairs set out in his yard, and he's an alcoholic, and he's drinking heavily, but he's just like immediately invites me into his life. We start chatting. By the end of the night, he's like, "All right, well, you stay here tonight." And it turns out, what I find out after, talking to this man for several hours, that he's about as close to being deaf as you can be without being deaf. Like, he's legally deaf.
Yeah.
And he heard me in the alley while I was trying to be quiet through the cinder blocks of his house.
He probably more likely felt you than I imagine, like felt the reverberation of your footsteps.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it was the guitar too. But no, I was being quiet. The guitar was in the case. But yeah, he came around, and so my first night on the ground in Joplin, Missouri, someone generous and kind took me into their home and gave me a place to sleep. The next day, I went walking looking for a shelter and just looking for, like, to tap into the city. I'm new here. My whole point of this journey is to try and, experience and be, a servant to other men in any way that I possibly can be, because, like, the difference for me at that point, my homelessness, was that I am now free. Like, the things that we own end up owning us, and I have nothing but what I've got on my shoulder, and the fact that I dragged so much along my shoulder kind of tells you how attached we are just generally as human beings to our objects and our material possessions and stuff. But I landed at a shelter called the Refuge Ministries, I believe. They were holding, of all things, the day after I arrived, the day after the fellow, like, let me sleep in his house, gave me a roof, they were having a like cookout thing that was to, drum up attention and let people know that they're there, and also, draw in donations to support the thing. I saw a flyer for that. I walked to where it was in the city without knowing where it was in the city, so that was tough. But I walked there, and then, they had like pots of food out and stuff like that, and instead of like jumping on the free shit, instead I just like immediately, ran up to somebody and said, "How can I help?" And just started like grabbing stuff and helping them carry chairs out that they were setting up and things like that. And by the end of that day, just because I was, doing what this this crazy rabbi in an old book was telling me to do, which was be, your fellow man's keeper, be his servant. Everyone there was like, we want you to, stay in our shelter. And I was actually like hesitant. I didn't want to take a bed away from someone who was there not by choice, you know? And I was like, and I said that I don't want to take a bed for some, like I chose this road, you know. I've got a guy over here who let me sleep in his house last night. He'll let me sleep there for a couple more nights, probably at least. And they're like, no, we want you here because, what you're doing and your energy and your readiness to jump in and be part of community and help what's going on here is what we need here. Please, for the love of God, take the bed. So I did. And the stories just go on from there, but I had so many different interactions with people who were homeless, not by choice, not by like a spiritual journey that they were on, but because of finances, because of primarily 99 times out of 100, addiction to either alcohol or drugs. Pretty much
Yeah.
everyone in that center had gotten there because addiction had taken all of their money and all of their stability and everything from them, and then at the end of the day, they didn't have a roof over their heads. And that is the path of homelessness. 99.999% of the time, it's because chemical addiction has been involved. We saw a somewhat spike in not necessarily having to do with addiction in when the housing markets burst. And a lot of people just found that they were suddenly underwater in homes that they had been sold for far too high a cost. But those people tended to have like family who they could fall back on and places to go. And when you have ruined yourself and your relationships and your bank account and everything with this addiction, there's nowhere to go. You're just on the street, and your roof is now the overpass of a bridge that you sleep under. And that's who I lived with for a month and a half.
It's interesting that you say 99.9% of kind of homelessness is as a result of addiction and stuff. Because one of the big things which kind of plagued my conscience, and I've got a story I can kind of tell about why it was on my mind so much. But in Sheffield, where I went to university, there's quite a lot of homelessness. It's quite visible. I did at least get pretty much approached by someone begging for money every day, probably twice, 3 times a day, if you're just walking around the city centre, around the university kind of campus. And you feel really guilty for ignoring them or saying no or doing anything really. I feel like there's no easy kind of way to deal with that situation, especially for someone like me at the time who had come from a small town where there was no homelessness and kind of come to this university and now got people kind of coming up to me on the street and saying like, hey, I don't have any socks and I'm freezing out here and you need to give me some money, and you look at how like privileged you are, you can spare some money. And them being right, like I can spare money. I'm not so poor, even though I'm a student, and that's typically seen as like, oh god, all students are fucking broke. 100 bits! All students are fucking broke. 100 bits from Mel. Thanks, Mel. When I'm in London, a homeless guy laughed at me and said good luck when I said I had no cash and was unemployed. Yeah, interesting. But yes, this kind of dwelt on me because I was like, I'm getting by, okay? Like I have money, I've got financial support from my parents and stuff, and like surely, this is what I should do kind of morally, is to give away, some of what I have because I can afford to and they can't. The official government advice and the advice apparently given by kind of all the homeless and rough sleeper charities in the UK is do not give them money, because 80% of people who are asking you for money are asking so that they can just drown their sorrows in drink and feed their addiction. And you're doing them more harm than good, really, by giving them money. Apparently, the official advice is just engage with them and ask them what they need. And, you know, if they say, oh, I need some food, I need shelter, I need warmth, I need clothing, then if you want to donate and if you want to be generous, then give them that. Don't give them money that they can spend on drugs, because
I can
most of them
absolutely
will.
confirm that that is what they're, what most of them are going to be using. I have, in addition to my experience down in Joplin, right now I live on a very seedy street in a very seedy area of a very seedy city called Detroit, and I live on 6 Mile, and there are more houses on my block that are abandoned than there are not, and because of that, we were actually quite happy to see, or at least I was quite happy to see two homeless squatters move into sort of just take one of the empty houses across the street. Because until previous, that empty house had been occupied by actual drug dealers. So it was nice to see, an improvement in the population of the street. That we moved up from an actual drug dealing house with constant activity at their door to just two homeless folks who were drug addicts. And I have had a number of interactions with them. They come to my door. I have given them blankets. I have allowed them to like charge cell phones and things. As a matter of fact, their cell phone went missing for a day, and I lent them the use of my old cell phone that I'd been given by my father when he was done with it, this iPhone 4. And they've been, sharing that with their other cell phone, and allows them to keep like going because they rely on that actually as a means of getting money because they're using PayPal, and they've got family and friends and people out there who are giving them money occasionally to basically keep getting drugs, but it is also how they eat and things like that. So I can confirm that just having a conversation, like an open conversation with the fellow across the street, he was 1,000% open. Like there was no even hint of a firewall or barrier between him saying, "Oh yeah, it's just it's drugs," and I was like, "Oh, you're doing the boys and the girls," and he's like, "Yeah." And boys and girls is street slang in Detroit at least for heroin and crack.
Oh,
Which
okay. Yeah, I
I
was going to ask. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know from past experience with another woman who um like what that is, and and that those two things tend to be sold together because one's a downer, the other's an upper, and you kind of combine the two and find the place, and one of them does. So yeah, he was just completely 1,000% open about that, and I have given them many, many things that they have asked for. And actually, if I'm honest with myself, there was a day, he asked for like 50 cents. I didn't have 50 cents. I did have $1. I gave him $1. But they have only asked, very, they're trying to be nice about it because, they live here. Don't shit where you eat kind of thing. But I have very clearly sent the message that I'm not giving out money here. I can help you out with some things that I can help you out with, but I have given hundreds of dollars to a drug addict before, trying to help them, a homeless drug addict before, trying to create a space for them to get their life together, get their feet down, and be like, okay, now you've got warmth, you got a shelter. I know you're not going to come off the drugs immediately, but now you got a place where you can wean off and you can like start looking forward to, you can build something and not have it fall out from underneath you because you got nowhere to call your own, and you got no clothes, and you got no support system. Here's a support system, and that individual, and it really is just, that individual, but that individual, much as they, I believe, were sincere in the attempt to turn their life around and wanted to make something of it. I mean, drugs are drugs for a reason. Heroin
Yeah.
is heroin for a reason. It is a demon that is living inside you that is saying, all that I really need to do right now to be happy is this. Or I could go out and do all this hard work and try and reassemble the life that's
Well,
collapsed underneath my
this is
feet.
the thing, is that I feel like a lot of modern society really does look down on addiction with disdain. And
Mm,
there are several things that kind of the more progressive, you might say, kind of side of society is becoming aware of. Like, depression is not a thing of choice, and you can't just, hey, don't be depressed. And I feel like now we're kind of aware of that in our society. And previously, that was much the same. You just kind of look down on someone who's depressed. Less so
Yeah.
now, but I think this is what we still do with addiction, which is that, like, oh, he's a fucking drug addict, and just like, oh, I could just, if you give him support and give him the money and just like kind of provide, he'll just lift himself right out of that. And he'll be fine.
This
And
is
no,
actually
it
the
is a mental illness.
second time
And
in that I would reference Bill Hicks in this live stream because he used to say that he talked about homelessness at one point in his comedy skit and said, people say you give them money, they're just going to spend it on drugs, and his response was, yeah, we ever been addicted to drugs? Drugs are pretty fucking important to a drug addict, you know?
of course they would. It's priority. It's a priority.
It's a priority. And
Yeah.
actually, there is an argument to that side of things too, is that you can't just like decide to stop doing drugs all at once. You might die, depending on the level of
Cold turkey.
physical
Yeah.
addiction that your body has gotten to. If you go cold turkey, you could die from withdrawals. Uh, and trying to pull yourself back together in a situation where you are on the street and you are homeless and it's already cold at night, and now you're going to be going through either the DTs or, literal like heroin or crack withdrawals. It is basically the worst scenario that you could have to try and pull yourself out of this thing that kind of, I mean, you think about how people get addicted to drugs, and it's basically this one time, this person I knew said, "This is so cool, man. Try this." And I tried it, and it was really cool. And so I kept doing it. And now I don't have a home anymore. Like it's a there but for the grace of God go I kind of a scenario. We've all been told about the danger of drugs. We all know the danger of drugs. We're each responsible individually for our own choices. But if you make that one wrong choice with drugs, it could just ensnare you
Spiral.
in a way that, you have to have a superhuman will to pull yourself back out of it. It's a hard fucking situation.
And
Hey, beer.
yeah, it's so that this is something that I've kind of come to realize. I think initially when I was told like, "Oh, you're not supposed to give money to homeless people because they'll just spend it on fucking drugs," I kind of initially my reaction was, "Well, that's probably just your prejudice, right?" When someone told me that. Um, but I've had plenty of experiences. Just to name a couple, there were a couple of years ago, a guy was I was walking home late at night, and someone asked me for some change, and I asked them what there was for, because I started doing that by that point. I was like, "Oh, what are you going to spend the money on?" And he said, "Oh, I just really need to use a phone booth to call my wife. She's in a different country, and I'm homeless here, and just I haven't spoken to her for ages." And so yeah, sure, I'll just give you a few pennies, and oh, there's a phone box right there. And then he just walks away. So like, I
Yeah.
just happen to be walking in the same direction as he would be going to the nearest phone box, and he walks and then goes straight past the phone box and then disappears up an alley. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, okay, so you just lied to my face to get that. Okay.
Yeah. And
Another one.
same experience with the person who I said I spent like hundreds of dollars trying to like dig them out and create stability for. The last time that I saw them, because I had a very close relationship with them and because they had taken so much from me, I was like, I'm not giving you anything. Get the fuck out. It's like I had taken a hard line stance with this person of like, yeah, you can come around and we can be friendly. And the moment that you ask me for $5, you can go fuck yourself. Um,
Yeah.
and like eventually, just under the pressure and and just wanting to get rid of them, just like I don't need this shit in my life. I said, all right, I'm gonna get you in the car. I'm gonna drive you to wherever you want to go, and I'm gonna drop you off. No money. And we
Yeah.
got to where we were going, and they refused to get out of the car unless I gave them,
Oh.
some money that they were then going to go into the gas station where they had me drop them to buy some like a drink and a snack and that kind of thing. And I just said, fuck it, here's another $5. You know what? It's a drip in the bucket of how much you've taken from me at this point, how much I've tried to do for you. And they got out of the car and like immediately started walking away from the gas station toward
Yep.
toward a drug house that I knew, because I'm familiar in this area. So yeah, it's just
Oh,
like it
God,
was
it's even
not
worse.
even on the radar to try and maintain the illusion that I'm not just gonna go get high now. Thanks.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of that ability to just completely straight-faced lie and then not even attempt to kind of continue the act once they know they don't need to is something that just has to come from that, like, having done it so many times, I guess. And it feels like really betraying. I mean, in your situation, you've given far more to any one specific individual than I ever have in this. So I can only imagine how much betrayal that felt like. But another time, kind of these are examples of occurrences that I've had a few times because it's generally the same pattern. One guy kind of, a lot of them start off by telling sob stories, like, oh, I got kicked out by my landlord and he was an asshole, and now I'm trying to look for another place to live, and I just need to get by while I sort something out, and also my girlfriend is sick, and my mother is this, and so could you just give me $5 or £5? And I said, well, I don't want to give any money, but hey, if you're in need of food or something else, like whatever it is that you need, I'll go with you to the shop and I'll buy it. And as soon as he heard that, he just turned around and walked away. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I see. Yeah, how's
Well,
your mother doing?
and all this is not, it's not to disparage. Oh, oops! It's not to disparage like the homeless or homelessness, or to say that these people are just a bunch of fucking liars. Screw them.
No,
It's
no.
just to like be aware and like because it is just like my experience. It is my experience, and I know it to be true.
This is all anecdotal as well. But yeah.
But it's not like just to be like, don't give those people any money. It's to like, what we need is instead of like feeding people's addictions, is we need actual viable systems in place on a societal scale that are designed to break the cycle of addiction and homelessness. And we have definitely tried, but our trying, at least in America, I can say that our trying looks like the trying of someone who needs to try so that it'll look like they're trying. Who's not
For the
actually,
appearance.
yeah, who's not actually trying to get anything done with it. There is at this point in America a number of commercial organizations who target the homeless and target addicts, and will literally drive down the streets in Florida. I know that this is a big problem. That they'll drive down the streets, look for homeless people, ask them if they're on drugs, and say, we can get you into rehab today, right now. And you think, well, that's a great thing, free rehab, they're getting them in there. But the reason that they're doing that is because they get subsidies from the government in order to like have these people go through their rehab processes, which is also fine, lovely, great. The government is supporting the rehab thing. But the problem is that like what it seems is that the people doing the rehab clinics want them to come back. They have a financial incentive to not actually
Well,
help you finish rehab and get your life together and follow up and help you like
that
stay the
sounds
course.
that sounds exactly like the US prison system, where they have a requirement to have a certain number of people in jail, and the state pays them based on the occupancy, and there's a contract between several states and their privatized prisons to have a minimum occupancy.
Yeah. Yep.
What's
And
the
this is not
incentive to kind
just
of rehab if they get paid by keeping them in?
and like this isn't just like conjecture and I am a fucking socialist liberal, I'm on that end of the spectrum, so I'm not like fuck the homeless and fuck government helping people. No, I want everybody to pay more taxes so the government will help us all. But like the problems that I'm talking about here, are like statistically observable, that the people who organize these rehab clinics and temporary shelters and stuff have incredibly high recidivism rates and are happy about that. Um, like the stories have come out over the course of the past few years, journalists like going, so like they'll call them up and say, so what's your like success rate? And they're like, we have an 80% success rate. And they say, okay, can you back that up with any statistics? No, we can't. And then they start like digging through the documents and calling people and stuff like that and find out you have a 12% success rate. And the people who you claim like you helped recover, have been in 5 times and they're just checking in again. It's people who have a monetary incentive to make money off of the government by pretending to help people who actually need help. And that's not help. It's a very difficult like thing to figure out. How do you help it? What do you do? Because addiction is addiction. It is in your brain, and it's like having a dark black passenger. Um, what was it? Dexter, HBO's Dexter. It's like having a dark passenger that's along with you, saying, "Let's go do this." Um, but it requires like systems that allow you to get your feet underneath you, that help you get clean, create a support structure, create a way for you, help you find work, help you get into a situation where you're using your skills that you have in order to like better yourself, and that help you keep from going back to the easiest solution to all your problems, which is whatever your particular addiction is. And this includes gambling. I mean, let's not just focus on drugs here. Gambling is a huge problem as well. Addiction in general just leads to homelessness.
Yeah. And it's so all this kind of talk about, well, don't give them money because, regardless of the exact addiction, it's likely going to go on their addiction. And I say don't give them money in quite an aggressive way, but no, it's coming from charities like don't give them money because it's not what they need. They need the actual whatever specific help they need. But people just don't know this. Like this is kind of the official advice, but I didn't know what to do, and so I kind of want to put this out here. What you should do is first of all, don't get into the habit of just completely ignoring them. I think. Because I think one of the worst things for the people who are genuinely homeless or genuinely rough sleeping, and we've discussed there are people out there who are just kind of scammers. There are people talking in chat this entire time about people who aren't really homeless. They're just trying to beg for some money and then going back to wherever. But whatever small percentage it is, there are people out there who are genuinely rough sleeping, genuinely just need some help, and are incredibly lonely and isolated, and probably in various awful situations. But because we get asked for money so much from all of the beggars on the street, it's so easy just to want to ignore them and to not deal with it, to not make eye contact, to not invite in the sob story and have to listen to it. And I think that's kind of the worst effect on most people, is that it just leads to completely ignoring them, and it's completely dehumanizing. I was really interested to see a game come out recently. I think it was called something Become Homeless. It was like a homeless
Really?
man simulator. And you roam
Okay.
around the streets of some generic American city and you beg people for cigarettes and change. And there are like, you say gambling is one of the possible addictions. There's these stalls in the game that you can go to buy like food and drink and stuff from, and you can buy lottery tickets and you can win money back on the lottery. And the guy I watch, Call Me Kevin, who's just fantastic if you want some good Irish comedy personality. Uh, he played it and was just making this big funny thing of constantly going back for the lottery tickets and constantly spending all of his money on the lottery and just losing it all. Um, But it was weird to watch it because even though it was a comedy video, I really got this kind of a glimpse into a sense of empathy of, hey, like everyone you go up to in this game, they just tell you to go away or they just completely ignore you. And it really is, even just in the video game setting, it was like, man, this feels weird. And so what I did the next time I came across a homeless person who seemed genuine. It was this 50-year-old lady who was walking down the street, just asking for change, but not, not particularly coming out with any sob story or begging as such. She was just walking along pretty much. I stopped, I gave her a little bit of change, and then just sat down with her in the rain. And she got out her recorder and started playing on her little crappy, really cheap, cracked, wet, soaked recorder. Um, and having said don't give change to homeless people, at this point I was actually helping her ask for change. And I think that was because she did enough to convince me that she wasn't an addict. Her situation was that her family members had died. Her husband had passed on. Um, she had quit smoking recently, and she avoided the city centre area of Sheffield and avoided begging there because at one point I asked her, like, hey, we're on the side of the street here. Is this really the best place you could be? Like, is this the most optimal place in the speed run of homelessness? Is this the optimal route to get that as much money as you can? And she was like, well, I don't go to the good spots because all the drunk and, high addicts are there and they'll just rob me of what little I do have. So I was helping her ask for change, and I got that insight into their perspective and the kind of that hit of empathy where I was like, man, this feels crap. I'm here just asking people for change in the rain and people just completely ignoring you. I won't even just pretend to not hear you, not see you at all. And that, I think, is just one of the worst parts of the whole experience. Just
Wow.
the emotional outcastness. And it occurred to me just today, actually, doing some reading, but it's all kind of been brewing over the years. The people who are genuinely rough sleepers and genuinely homeless and are being basically just kind of pushed out by society and no one's really talking to them or really paying much attention to them, uh, they don't know what kind of support is available to them. I mean, there are charities that go around and there are these support organizations that if you report someone rough sleeping and tell them where they're sleeping and to kind of give them a rough description, then supposedly they'll go and say, hey, do you need a shelter? We can try and sort you out with some accommodation. Uh, but if no one reports them and they don't have any way to properly talk to anybody for any length of time, they have no idea where to go to get help. The most they can probably do is go to the local council. And if you've ever tried to go to the local council for anything in the UK, most city councils do not have the time of day for upstanding tax-paying citizens, let alone the homeless.
Mm.
So I feel like the best thing you can do is probably give a homeless person the time of day, try and determine whether you think they're genuine. Don't give them any money, but help them out with information about where they can go to get help. If they are genuine, then they'll, you know, probably be in desperate need of that. And
Well, and
yeah,
where you're telling a story of a woman who has like decided I'm not gonna go hang around in those areas anymore. You know, like two thoughts occurs. One, in the conversation that I had with one of the squatters who's moved in on my street, they were telling me, you know, like I was asking, I just started the conversation with, so what are you guys gonna do for winter? You know, because it's coming around. Are you planning to try and, like seal off that house and try and keep some warmth in or something like that? And he was like, incredibly, actually, I said that and then I was like, because honestly, I got clothes here that don't fit me anymore, clothes that I just never really wore in the first place, gifts that are in my closet. I got things that I don't need. And if it would help you, you can have my clothes. And he very honestly said, dude, I am, a traveler at this point in my life. Like, I have nothing to hold me down. And, like, the reality of my situation is that anything you give to me is going to be worn until it's dirty and then thrown away. And I don't want to take your stuff and just end up throwing it away, because anything that I have in my life just has to be left behind. Which, spoke volumes to his character in the first place, that, when he is sober, he's like thinking about, I don't want to be wasteful of your kindness, so no, keep your kindness. But in addition, that conversation led to him saying, like, no, we don't, like, I don't want to stay here anyway. We're not planning on, like, making that house stable for winter. And his statement was, I need to get the fuck out of here. I can't. And this is how this relates to, like, the woman that you sat with. I can't be here. I know all of the places to go to get what I want. I know all the people. I have all the contacts. He was describing in my neighborhood, which is why I know how many places there are around. He was like, I go over there, 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 I go over there. I cannot be
Yeah.
here. I want to go into recovery. I want to get out of this cycle. I cannot be in the city of Detroit. And kind of on the heels of that conversation, and I think that's similar to what, the woman who you sat with in the rain was sort of expressing, that I don't want to be around those people because, they're dangerous, but also because they're just shitty influences
Yeah.
that aren't going to help me in any way.
Yeah.
But, like, I almost think about that and say, is that what we really need? Is that sort of part of the solution that hasn't been addressed? Is relocation services for people? Like, you're poor, you're impoverished, you're drug addicted, and you're homeless. Like, but all the contacts for the drug dealers here. And it's not the first time that I've heard that story either, that this isn't going to work. I know where to go when things get
Yeah, it's an
hard.
interesting.
Is
That's an
it something we need to think
idea.
about? Like,
'Cause, I mean,
tickets,
when
train
you
tickets,
accept that,
Greyhound bus tickets, like, and not like from an individual, but from some kind of service or something like that. Like, you apply, and then we're going to check you into a rehab in that place over there that you've never been before, and here's the money in order to get there, and check in when you get there, or something like that. Is that a part of the solution to break people's dependency network?
I wonder just how intimidating people would find that, though. Because, I mean, on one hand, hey, my addicted brain knows exactly where I need to go here. On the other hand, I don't know that other place, and that's scary.
Yeah,
So,
well, it would
I don't
definitely
know.
have to be on the request of or at the behest of people who wanted to get out. But it's definitely not the first time I've heard from a homeless person. My problem is that I cannot break this because it's just too close. Like, every time that I do get clean, like, many homeless people and many homeless addicts in particular have been to rehab time after time after time, and it just hasn't worked. I mean, the life that you go back to after you exit a rehab clinic is so hard on the street in the first place. And then you still know all of the people, and you know all of the places to go. And I
Hmm.
don't know that it would help, but it's like, it's a question, it's an idea, for those who are ready and willing to travel and who, want to go through a rehab, maybe a local rehab clinic, like a local rehab process. You go through the rehab process, and at the end, it's like, the government, we, through funding and that kind of a stuff, will provide you with a Greyhound ticket to a location where we can arrange for you to have a bed and a shelter when you land there. Do you want it? That might be, because the solution here, whatever it is fucking complicated, you know? Because
Yeah.
it's not,
Well.
the people who you're trying to help want to help themselves on and off, and they
Hmm.
recognize that. They're willing to admit that. Yes, there are certain times where I'm just like, fuck it, I'm, diving deep on my addiction. And there are other times when they get their head above water and they're like, this has to stop. I'm killing myself. This is horrible. I can't live like this anymore. And when their heads are above water, how do you like reach in, grab their hand, and pull them out in such a way that they have a chance of staying out before that demon that's come in with the chemicals into their bloodstream and into their brains gets back a hold of it? Because there are going to be hard times. So can we make it easier? Can we provide that level of support?
I think, oh, why are there no names? I think just cheered 100 bits.
Thank you.
Saying, we could try to start a charity to get shit like this set up because no one else is going to do it. I mean, I think there are charities, I don't know about this specific idea, but there definitely are charities doing this kind of thing. The main problem I see is just that no one really knows about them. Like,
Yeah, that's
until
a problem,
today,
being able to communicate
I didn't
to the
know about
homeless.
StreetLink, and I only found StreetLink because I Googled it. And StreetLink, if you don't know, is the UK government's thing that it's like its system for saying, hey, I've came across this homeless guy, I want to help him, I'm going to put him into the system, and please help this man. And then the actual charities and the volunteer organizations will be like, hey, this guy's just shown up on the database, this guy's must be new homeless person in the area, you know, let's find them and contact them and get in touch and provide the support and whatnot. Because there's the disconnect between people wanting to help and then the organizations that are there to provide the help, and actually, I don't know, something to do with the communication between them. I feel like I don't know any homeless charities. I don't really know where to go to start pointing a homeless person towards where they should get help. And so maybe it's just dehumanizing homelessness. So doing something in the public kind of society
Unre-dehumanizing.
mind. Yes. To just have us try and stoke a little bit of that empathy that I was touching on
That
earlier.
Jesus Christ was talking about in the New Testament, and that most Christians in modern America apparently fucking
Have
missed.
Yeah. Have forgotten or never paid attention to properly in the first place. Mosaic Task Force also cheered 100 bits. Thank you very much, Mosaic. Says, support your local KPE4 charity stream. Well, KPE4 definitely
Ooh.
will support some sort of homeless charity, I think. Oh, how's the audio?
Think I bumped a cable?
Yeah, I heard it.
Do you still hear
I heard
it?
a kind of noise.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to everyone. Oh no, that's probably the background noise from the furnace now. Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Unless you tell me.
Yeah, so KPE4, in case you don't know, just briefly, the plan is rather than just picking one charity, I want to pick a few different ones that I think are really good, that other people like have been evidenced to be really good, and to allow anyone who wants to take part in the event to choose which they would rather support. And yeah, homelessness is something that is just one of my criticisms, not criticisms as such, but one of the things I've said about charity water in the past is that it feels quite remote to me. I get behind the cause in a big way, but it doesn't hit close to home. And I feel like homelessness is one of those things that, at least for me, having lived in a city where it seems quite prevalent, that is something that I feel like I could really impact. You know, we could really kind of hit and actually have some sort of effect. So yes, it's going to take some deciding on what is a suitable way to go about that, but I want KP to just support that in some way.
Yeah, I like that
It's
as
one of those
a
problems. You know?
as a possible charity for the, you know, if we can find some way to involve that in the charity, because that is it's a major problem. And I don't hate the idea, Harv, of you know, starting something up. I know that it would take like way more work than the two of us could do, but you know, that's why other people exist, is to just carry on the whims of two jackass live streamers on Twitch without
Oh,
them
that is
having to
their
do the
entire
hard work.
Yeah, the entire point of their existence, I'm fairly
Right.
sure.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
Other people.
The
That's
world
why
revolves
else would they
around
be
me,
there?
and other people exist to serve my whims. Yeah, as you said. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone is
I mean, you
clipping
say,
that from the live stream right now.
please do. It is my accurate views and should not be taken out of context. And trust me, if you get the past 10 seconds, that's all the context anyone needs. Yeah. I Starting a charity is quite a big thing that I lack the admin experience, but if we kind of coin a good, not coin, if we come across a good idea for something that is not being done that actually might be very beneficial, then, yeah, looking into kind of setting something up and getting people involved and just validating whether it's actually a good idea or not, that kind of stuff I would definitely get behind. But it's enough work just trying to run a weekly talk show called Harv and Porn, which you can support at patreon.com/harvandporn. Don't give your money to homeless people. Give it to us instead.
In order to prevent us from becoming homeless people.
Yeah, preventative rather than treating symptoms. Yeah.
That's always better. It's always better.
Apparently.
We have sort of come to the end of the live stream here, so I want to thank you all for joining us. Thank you for your cheers and your subs and your bits and so forth and so on, and for staying with us for the live stream, for your comments in chat. We have been reading. We've just been ignoring you. No, we've been just been exploring our own personal experiences. There's so much more to say. I just was trying to find on my PC like my thank you Turbonutter. I was trying to find my old I journaled everything that happened
Yeah.
while
I was
I
going to
was
ask
homeless.
you. Yeah.
It exists somewhere out there on a blog spot, and I was trying to find it by some of the things that I used to like, the words that I remember and things like. Ooh, wait, I got one. The name of a certain fella.
I mean, another topic for Harv and Porn in the future, if you do ever find it. Another possible thing to talk about. And if there are any specific kind of thoughts or ideas or suggestions for topics that you would like to hear us discuss for a couple of hours rather than maybe the 1 hour we've had today, then you can suggest them to us. Oh, thanks very much for the 10 bits, Dramasium. Write a book, porn, about your journey. Sounds like you kind of did that already, doesn't it?
I've got about 100 and some pages, I would guess, of it. But that does
That's about a
remind me
book's
also, why are
worth,
there
yeah.
no names? Thank you for cheering earlier. It didn't trigger the overlay, but thank you for your cheer, Pawn. You aren't exactly known for being subtle. The fuck do you mean by that shit?
What was I saying? I was saying something. Discussion topics. Yes. Anyone can suggest the discussion topic. We need all the ideas we can get. What happens is that we stick the ones we like and we think we have something important or at least something interesting to contribute to the realm of conversation into a poll, and that poll is votable by our dear Patreon supporters, our Twitch subscribers, and that's it.
Homeless
Just
people.
those two groups of people.
Homeless people.
And homeless people.
who we encounter on the street. We say, "What do you think we should talk about?" And then they say, "I was okay. So my car is broken down, and my 4 kids are in the car, and I just got I need like $3 worth of gas in order to get 20 miles up the street so that I can get my kids out of the cold in the car. And it's running right now. Oh no, that wouldn't make it's." That's kind of the thing that you're used to with homelessness is you always get a story that sounds like bullshit. And, that comes out of, there are just people in the marketplace who are going to do that. People in the marketplace of homeless people trying to get money from you who are going to do that. And then imagine that you're homeless and you're trying to get people to give you money and you're just being honest and decent and saying, "Listen, I'm homeless. Could you give me a couple of bucks?" And meanwhile, there's a dude over here who's like, "I just need money for a taxi. I'm trying to get my father's funeral." You know, it's like a competition in the marketplace that drives people to be more and more vicious and deceitful in what they're doing. So you hear those stories all of the time when you're, interacting with what were you calling them? People who are sleeping
Rough
rough?
sleepers.
Rough sleepers.
Apparently, that's kind of the distinction that people try to use rather than using the term homelessness. So, because there are people who are homeless who actually are sleeping in homes or shelters or something overnight. So rough sleepers is the subset who are actually sleeping out on the streets.
I actually
Yeah.
don't hate what Why Are There No Names is saying there. Just be honest. If you want drug money, ask for drug money. And, you know,
Yeah.
it,
I mean, like you were saying with the people across the road from you, the fact that they were just straight up honest about it was
yeah,
way better.
we're addicts.
There's no
And, yeah,
deceit.
we don't
And this
want to
is
be
something
addicts, but we're addicts and we're homeless. And
we're
we're just
we're kind
addicts.
of wrapping up the topic now, but this is one of the things I was going to maybe talk about, which is how my kind of philosophy to responding to beggars has changed over time. And it used to be that I kind of did what most people do, which is just kind of ignore it or say, I haven't got any change on me, sorry, and basically lie because most people don't carry change, and sometimes that's like a genuine kind of like, hey, I would, but I don't have any change. Most of the time, you say that because, regardless of whether you have change or not, you don't want to give them money. You're just using a polite excuse to try and not say that. And I feel like that dishonesty is, I just really don't like not being honest with people. And so what I say now is pretty much most cases just no, sorry. And if someone really pushes me, then I just say, no, I don't want to give you money. Sorry. You know, just be honest. I feel like there's more respect in the honesty, even if it's not what someone wants to hear. That I think, yeah, I think that's respectable, and a better way to live.
I personally do just lie to people. I live in Detroit, man. This happens like on a daily basis. If I'm out of the house, somebody comes up to me and they say, "Hey, man, I just need some change." Like, actually, I sometimes give them money, I sometimes don't. I just kind of sniff out the situation, sniff out the person, and without even talking to them, I just kind of, yeah, all right, sure, and a couple of just whatever I've got in my coin purse, and I literally have a coin purse because, as I mentioned earlier, drag queen. Um, But yeah, I'll either give them or I'll just like say, Jay, no, I don't have anything. And I don't feel bad about it at all anymore, Harvey. I have gone through the Dharma gate of not giving a shit about whether or not I tell you the truth or tell you a lie when you are a person on the street asking me for money. Um, you know, judge me on that. Feel free and judge me on that.
I
Especially
do.
with the
You're a
Connor Ace
fucking
thing and
liar.
calling a
I
motherfucker out
hate
for
you.
lying and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, when it's like some little petty, just a moment, I'm just another number in their book of people who have walked past them today that they're gonna try and shake down for a couple of pence. I, if I feel good right now and I'm flush, sure, here's some money. I'm never flush. But if I've got some change in my coin purse, sure, here you go. And if I don't feel good right now and you're bothering me and my back hurts, I'm trying to carry this fucking thing and my CFS, my ME is kicking in, then you know what? Oh, damn. I'm out. Oh, I'm tapped. Ah, fuck. I've gone past morality. I'm into a new Buddha plane of existence where there is no right, there is no wrong, there is only this. And on that note,
So
have we come to the end of the live stream?
there is no right, there is no wrong, there is only this. And this is Harv and Porn. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a good show today. Half the stream just chatting about whatever we wanted to talk about. Over half of the stream talking about homelessness and kind of airing our experiences and our thoughts and our ideas. And we hope you enjoyed it. If you did, 9 p.m. UK time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on twitch.tv/harvandporn, available on YouTube afterwards. We have a YouTube
On the
channel now.
Wednesdays. Yes, we do.
What?
We have a YouTube
Wow.
channel now.
A whole YouTube channel where you can see all of the content
someone
for the
who already knows where it is in chat will link to it for you, because it's not easy to get to, and I didn't do the thing we talked about where I was going to make the URL thing that goes. I haven't gotten to that yet. So
And if you're watching on a VOD, description. Check
yeah,
out
in the description. You gonna put that there? I ain't gonna put that there.
I will try and remember to put it in the description now that I've said it will be. But yes, that's where all the content is going. Eventually we're going to phase these VODs off of our own separate channels. And so we're really kind of desperate to try and grow Harv and Born. Those of you who are actually watching this and are actually enjoying this on YouTube, for the love of God, please subscribe to Harv and Born and hit that bell, because we need to know the kind of relative size of this audience and have you all in one place so that you can see everything and it no longer is as distributed as it is currently. That's going to be the new central. So you're doing yourself a disservice if you're enjoying this content and you don't just go and subscribe to that channel. So
Thank
do
you,
it,
Dramacian, who's
basically.
just posted it in chat, apparently. So if you're watching on the VOD, it's /channel/ capital U, capital C, capital L, lowercase a, capital J, lowercase l, capital... Well, you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. Harvey, give me a, hard outro that I can then, set everything up and click on.
Ladies and gentlemen, and those of you in between, this has been Harv and Born. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much to our Patreon subscribers and our Twitch patrons to kind of mix those up royally. Your names are about to appear on screen, hopefully, very much.
If I do this right.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And now, Born, take it away with the outro.
No, I'm gonna play my own things. You don't have to.
Okay. Harv, Born, Harv, Born, Harv and Born, and 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 Harv and Born. Harv and Born.